Hi, this is Rodney Robinson, and you're listening to the Passive Investor Show.
The views and opinions provided on this show are for informational purposes only and should not be misinterpreted as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider any investment or course of action. For more information, please go to PassiveInvestorShow.com. Hey PI listeners, this is John Fortes. I'm making it a point to speak to as many investors as possible. My goal is to position myself to be a blessing to my network through conversation. How could one be a blessing through conversation? The easy answer is by listening. A simple conversation can open many opportunities and doors. I always ask myself this: what do I have to lose by having one more conversation? Going back to high school, I've connected friends and family in my network to one another, even if it didn't benefit me. And I continue those same principles and practices. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. If I can't help you, I probably know someone or something that can probably solve your problem. I'd love for you to become a part of that network. Go to www.johnfortes.com, create your investor profile, and schedule a call. How can I best serve you through conversation? In the words of Clarence the Angel from It's a Wonderful Life, no man is a failure who has friends.
And now, the Passive Investor Show. Here's your host, John Fortes.
Welcome, PI listeners, to the Passive Investor Show. I'm the Passive Investor Consultant, John Fortes, your host of the only ranked podcast for passive investors in multifamily syndications and real estate funds. Our goal and purpose of this show is to be a resource to investors and help them master their passive investments by beating inflation 1% at a time.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this special message.
Hey everyone, if you manage your own rental properties, aren't you looking for a more sufficient way to streamline your to-do list and make the leasing process easier? Apartments.com lets you list your units, screen and receive applications, create leases, collect rent, and track maintenance and expenses, all on the #1 rental network for free. That's right, for free. Apartments.com isn't just for apartments. 29 million monthly visitors visit the site for all types of listings, like single-family homes, duplexes, condos, and townhomes. Renters view these specific listings over 100 million times per month. This valuable exposure and a robust suite of resources are available to you as a landlord for free. And it's all online, so you can access this information anywhere at any time. If you're ready to find the perfect tenant, get started today by listing your units on the #1 rental network. Go to apartments.com/John Fortes. That's apartments.com/John Fortes. Why not take advantage of the free tools right at our fingertips? Go to apartments.com/John Fortes. It's free. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Passive Investor Show. I'm your host, John Fortes, and today I have the pleasure of connecting with Rodney Robinson II. Rodney, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, John. Super glad to be here.
Man, I'm excited for you too, but let me tell the folks today who you are. Rodney is a full-time supply chain management professional who is growing a Florida-based multifamily investment firm. He manages his personal rentals while growing a multifamily investment business, Robinson Capital, and seeks to help others learn to invest in real estate and in multifamily opportunities. Rodney and his wife have 4 little children and love their local community in Melbourne, Florida. Real estate has become an even more valued tool in his life, and he strives to share his knowledge and education with everyone who will listen or read. Since 2020, Rodney has appeared on multiple podcasts, created an ebook for passive investors, and has written over 200 articles on real estate investing. Rodney shares his investment journey and passive investor educational content twice weekly on his blog at rodneyrobinsonii.com. Rodney launched Robinson Capital with the mission to help working professionals passively invest in multifamily real estate while providing great living communities to residents. Today, we invite him to discuss the importance of a business plan and how anyone can create one. Man, my man, I can't wait for this one. I've been circling this one on the calendar. Rodney, man, I know I just read everything, but why don't you tell me in your own words more about you? How'd you get into this?
Yeah, thanks, John. I appreciate it. And like I said, it's an honor to be on your show because you're doing exactly what I want to do. And where I am now, I'm just so honored that, after a year, I'm farther than I was before. But, like I said, I'm a working professional. I started my family in 2012 when we got married. We had kids, it's the normal middle-class lifestyle. But I always wanted to invest in real estate. So I've been studying real estate since 2013. I guess you could say I had some sort of analysis paralysis because I didn't buy my first anything until 2016, and that was our primary resident. In 2019, right after having twins, coincidentally, we decided to buy a single family home that we fixed up and we rented out to two great people that are still, renting the place. But I knew I never wanted to do that again. My wife just told me yesterday that was the hardest time of her life, hardest summer, because we had young children. And here I am swinging a hammer and trying to patch up ceilings and do all the stuff that, I knew there had to be a better way, but I said, this is the first one. We have to get it done. It was a great journey, but that's when I decided we were going to focus on multifamily. So in July of 2020, in the middle of COVID, I decided we're going to figure out how to make this happen. So I went to a conference. That's where I kind of started to get connected with you and met other people. My network expanded about, 10 times. And since then, I started a blog. I passively invested in, my own multifamily and, opportunity. And now I'm looking to grow and be able to provide the same opportunities for other working professionals. So that's where I am today.
Love that. I love that. I love everything that you did and set it in motion and what you realized and what brought you to multifamily. So man, I want to dive into how do you educate passive investors today? What are you doing?
I think you start very simple. And my strategy is to start very simple because at the end of the day, if you start talking about how a deal works and preferred returns and IRR and all that stuff that even a lot of syndicators can't really explain very well, it's going to scare them away. So I ease people very smoothly. For example, there's an article I wrote recently that got more attention than most of my other articles, and it's how to talk to your spouse about passively investing in real estate. So it's little things like that. I try to talk to my target audience. Those are working professionals, in a very clear way and try to help them solve a real problem. How do I diversify? I have a friend who's got quite a bit in his 401k and it's like, what should I do with this? And I'm like, I know what you should do with this, but we're going on a journey. So basically, I take them on a journey from where they are and where they want to be. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily need to leave their job. But someone told me this word that I'm going to use when I'm talking about, this vision that working professionals can have for themselves. And it's job optional. That means you don't have to leave your job, but you can if you want to. That's a great place to be. So basically, I start with a vision and then we start, the Passive Investor Startup Guide, my gift to visitors to the site is just that. We go on a journey about what financial freedom looks like, what it could look like for you, how the multifamily asset class is a great vehicle for doing that, and then how a normal person can invest in multifamily real estate passively without ever having to walk inside, a rental property, which is what a lot of people happen to fear or believe is, the common way to get started in real estate or the only way to do real estate.
No, I love that you mentioned fear, man, because, there's two types of fear out there, right? There's the fear of, being the landlord and dealing with the people. And then there's the fear of giving my money to the sponsor that's, going to, invest it into this property. So knowing those two, I try to, just like you, keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS mentality, right? So I try to keep everything keep everything simple, right? So what I tell investors as well, and I'd love to just kind of piggyback on what you said, is there's going to be two things when you're investing passively that's going to really, really scare you. It's the
Right.
PPM because it's all the legal what if risks
Yep.
that the lawyer drew up. But it's needed in this because you're investing as a limited partner in an investment opportunity. And then the second one is not signing, believe it or not, the subscription. It's the wiring of the capital. Those are the biggest scary moments. Now, the scary moments when you're doing it actively is, finding the right one, finally pulling the trigger, signing the P&L on it, right?
Yep.
Bringing it under contract. And let's just say it's single family home, right? For the sake of for the audience. Next thing you know, Rodney, you got to, put the money in escrow, send it, and then closing day. And then you're filling out all those paperwork. So, those are, and now it's yours to maintain and do whatever, right?
Yep.
So, the work starts to happen after that. So, being active, I get it, man. Keeping it simple. I love what you do. I love your writing. I enjoy your writing. I subscribe to your blog too. So I just want to let everybody know that. But
thank you.
No worries. No worries. Tell me
and I'll say,
go ahead.
I'll say really quickly, if you've ever been an active investor, and some people are that I've worked with and spoken to, then it's not as scary being passive if you're working with the right people. And here's why. So just everything you just described is scary. I have single family homes. If I get a call from my PM, I'm not going to lie, my heartbeat starts beating a little fast because I'm like, what did you already spend money on without talking to me when we already said we were going to, you were going to give me a heads up beforehand? And that's your capital. You have to have your reserves. You have to make sure you're maintaining your roof. But when you passively invest with another team, with a full team, you have experts and you have reserves if you're working with the right people, and the resources to be able to maintain and improve an asset and protect your capital. So it was a little bit scary doing my first passive investment, but not as scary as doing my single family homes. And I think a lot of people can appreciate, what it feels like to passively invest.
Absolutely. And then as you just like buying the first active one and investing in your first passive deal, it gets easier and easier going forward. It's just that first time. No, I just want to pivot to what criteria do you look for in passive investors when someone comes to Rodney and like, Rodney, your next deal, I want in.
Right.
What are you looking for?
Yes.
How are you vetting them?
So very simply, altogether, I'm looking in general before I even vet them. My target audience are people just like me. It's very easy. We speak the same language, working professionals. We know what it's like to try to climb the corporate ladder. So really a lot of them are qualified. They may not even realize it. So I'm talking about people that are middle managers, people that are at a higher level, and they're probably middle, to upper middle class. And they don't realize that this is a vehicle for them. So as we start, really the first questions that we start going through isn't how the deal works. It's just what I'm working on. So everybody in my circle understands that I'm working on the multifamily, scaling a multifamily business. And I talk about my passive investments, and I know people very closely. And when I start to get to know people, I understand, their situation. And typically, they have money in their 401k that they could roll over and use to invest and, passively in a multifamily deal or in a fund. So basically they're qualified at that point. And the next thing is, do they have the mindset, and how willing are they to be able to take that next step? So, internally with my own, system, I actually, I score, and I'm working on scoring and quantifying, my passive investor base. So I'll score, let's say on 1 to 5, how ready they are. 1, keep me on your list. 5, and this is what I heard from someone else, so I like to take from other people. And 5 is let's do a deal right now, and I'm ready. And secondly, that happens only after making sure that there is an alignment, and we are aligned with what our goals are, because I want to make sure that this is a good thing for them too.
No, I love that. So walk me through where I am on RodneyRobinsonII.com and I hit invest with Rodney. When I hit that button, what does your onboarding process look like from me as an investor?
Yep. So you hit invest, I get a notification. You'll also get an email. If I don't contact you first, you still have the option to schedule a call. And I'll make sure that I attempt to call you. If I don't call, we'll leave a voicemail. And then I'll also have a follow-up email with the calendar link for you to schedule a call. And then sometimes I don't get them all because, maybe it was like an impulse thing, man, I'm ready, and then, they kind of fall off, and that's just how it is sometimes. But they stay on my network and we keep trying. I also have some automations that I'm working to keep people engaged and eventually get that call together. And really, for a passive investor, I would say the next step, regardless of where you are, is to get on a call. That way you understand what your next step is. And at least I can help you with something. If it's not right for you, it's not right for you. But at least we can talk about your goals.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I love that. Now, what is something that you had to implement into your business working with passive investors? Like, is there a CRM system? Is there like, what is it? Is there an investor portal? I'm just nosy like that. What was it that helped you?
Yeah. So for a while CRM, by the way, is the biggest thing for me. So first of all, I have a website. It's an open source software, WordPress. It's simple. It works. But, that's just like your home base. And I really think where the meat is your customer relationship management system. So I was using a very simple and free MailChimp for a while. Most people can do just fine, but I wanted to take it to the next level. And actually, it was you, John, about a year ago, you did a meetup where you talked about, some of your systems. And soon after, I ended up doing a paid service with Active Campaign. And basically what I do is the value there is I get data and I have automations. So I have 2 automations right now. That's for people that simply want to follow my content. And that's where the majority of my followers are. And then secondly, people that would like to be on my passive, what I call within our passive investor network. So, and we're working on those. We're just constantly trying to make things better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know we have a lot of discussions on how we label investors as they come through. And, sometimes like this is what other people do, including myself. When an investor just signs up to the blog, we tag them as interested. And when they do complete the form and get on a call with us, we do tag them as investor. Like now the difference is the interested will only get blog content, and then the investor will only get market insight type opportunities. Right. They'll get more the meat in the guts for incentivizing investing. So, it's kind of like, if you're signing up for the blog, it tells me you just want the blog and the podcast and that's it. But if you want more, we get on a call, I learn about you, and now I can send you the meat and guts of what we're doing with our research team and such. So I think you run it a little bit similar to that, like 2 lists and keep it separate and don't give everybody the same thing, right?
Right. 2 lists. And, what I will find is that typically those who are following the blog may decide it's time to schedule a call. And I give them many, many opportunities because I just would love to speak to those that understand what attracted them to the content and, what it means for them. But, I learned that from a lot of different people, including yourself.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. So, all right, so let's transition into this. What do you do differently that other sponsors, that your investors will benefit from that other sponsors can't provide?
So I think I have a unique skill. I thought when I started building the platform a year ago, what is it that I'm going to focus on? And I considered a podcast, but I ultimately decided to do a blog. And during the time of the pandemic, my logic, maybe I just wanted to make up something, so I supported my decision. But my logic was many people are working remotely, so they're not driving and may not have the time to listen to a 30-minute podcast like they would. And so versus reading a 5-minute article. And basically I just ran with it. I know the situation's changed for many, and that's why podcasts are doing very well. It's a great way to meet new people and discover new content. But I stuck with it. And I think, my experience and my journey on the way, I'm being very transparent. I talked about when I refinanced my rentals. I talked about when I got a property manager. Soon I'll be talking about when I sell my rentals, which I'm very excited to do. I'll be talking about when I roll that money into a passive investment. And I'm being transparent because I want people to follow my journey. And I want to talk about the good and the bad, so that it's very clear, what the life of a passive investor can be like, and so that they can grow with me. And I think that's what I do. Not to say no one does it, but I think a lot of times when you listen to content or you read content, just you're hearing high returns and nothing but success. But I think that I want to warn passive investors what to look out for. And something I talk a lot about that's I know is not very common, conservative underwriting, what to look for when you are meeting a new sponsor, how to vet your sponsor, what sponsors are looking for when they're meeting new passive investors. Do I have to be accredited to passively invest in real estate? A lot of those things that just the normal working professional who's stuck in that world, they don't have very easy access to that information. So just helping people convert to a new mindset is what I believe is my specialty.
No, I love that. I love the value you're providing, because that's the stuff people are researching and Googling anyways. And you're just putting it on a hot plate saying, here, this is for you, because I've already been there, done it, and I'm still doing it. So yep. I love that, Rodney. Rodney, this is the best part of the show. I need one piece of advice for the PI listeners.
That's good. I would say to figure out what your next step is. So anyone that's listening right now, don't discount yourself or exclude yourself from this challenge here. Whether you aspire to be a passive investor, maybe you're looking to take your real estate firm or private equity business to the next level. Maybe you're a working professional and you have passively invested in real estate or not. I think you have to figure out what your next step is. So is it reaching out and scheduling a call with someone? Or is it asking more questions about a deal that you were just vetted, or just better understand the multifamily asset class altogether? I think that would be what I would want to share with listeners. What is your next step? Because we all have access to great information, but really the difference maker is our lack of action or our action.
Love it. I love it. Rodney, how can we stay in touch with you?
All right. So the easiest way to stay in touch with me is by going to my website. It's RodneyRobinsonII.com. That's Rodney Robinson II. And there's a contact us page. And as a free gift for all visitors, there's a passive investor startup guide that you can download for free.
I love it, man. And don't forget the social medias too. Boom, follow them there. I'm sure you can find it on the website too.
If you search my name, you'll find my LinkedIn page.
There it is. My man, what is the meaning behind the company name? I mean, don't give it away, but I think we already know.
It's very simple. And I think it's more than just the name. I think it's what the name means for me. I did want to have like a creative name, something that's catchy and stuff. But for me, my last name was important. And, in history, there were last names that just stuck for generations. And that may or may not happen for the masses. Like Robinson may not be a Rockefeller name, but for our family, for my children and my children's children and so on, I'd love the Robinson name to be something that they're proud of. So for me, Robinson Capital, I named the company that name so that everything that I do represents our last name and our family and our future generation. The decisions I make, the decisions, ethical decisions, the types of choices, wise, unwise, are a reflection of the company, which happens to be our last name. So that's why I chose Robinson Capital.
I love that, man. I tell my kids every morning is when you leave the house, you're a reflection on us. So another person said this on the show in the past is if you're willing to name something with your family name, then you're going to honor it in some way, some capacity. So
right.
I love
good.
that.
You can't walk away from it.
No, you can't, Nick. You can't. All right, Rodney, thank you for stopping by the show, man. We really enjoyed the conversation, man. I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, John. Like I said, it was an honor, and thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Don't forget to download your free copy of the investment tracker. It allows you to track up to 5 investments, compare sponsors, markets, and most importantly, projected versus actual returns. To get your copy, go to www.projectedreturns.com. PI listeners, thank you for listening. As always, we hope this was the best resource for your investment strategy, but also the best use of your time. Remember, if this episode helps you, You can help us by leaving a review on iTunes. I hope you feel compelled enough to share it with someone you think this would resonate with as well. As much as it pains us to leave you, but you know what time it is. Time to go put this into practice. Till the next time we meet, happy investing. PI listeners, I'm grateful for your time and I appreciate you for listening. It would mean the world to me if you went to iTunes and left a rating and written review. Let me know how you feel about the show. It really makes a big difference with getting the podcast out there. Don't forget about our Facebook group, where all of our guests are members of. I'll be there to answer any of your questions, or even questions you might have for future guests. Subscribe so you can get the latest episodes and our fan favorite quick hitters. Finally, I want to keep you updated, so head over to johnfortes.com and sign up for the newsletter. If you're interested in partnering with me, sign up on the contact page so you can talk to me directly. I look forward to connecting with you. Happy investing.